Last time in the Black Clover manga, with the reveal of some brand new devil information, Dante, Lucifero and Aster's battle begins to reach its climax as Gauche's time alive still hangs in the balance. What's going on, Senpai Squad? Welcome back to the latest review of the Black Clover manga today with chapter 244. Lots going on in this chapter, including backstory, big reveals, and hype twists. Let's begin though with Asta versus Dante. Right, we've spent a lot of time talking about these two over the last few weeks, so I don't want to dwell on it too much, but it's safe to say we have to talk about it. Basically, Dante whips out, right, get this right, few little boxing moves on Asta. Yeah, Dante whips out his fists and basically just wipes the floor with Asta in a good old little fist fight. A very magical street fight, however. And like I said, he just completely ends Asta. I've seen people actually comparing who took the bigger L between Asta and Yuno. Firstly, I want that to be today's question of the day. So be sure to leave a like and subscribe as well if you're not already, and to be sure to answer today's question of the day in the comment section down below, which is, who took the bigger L, Asta or Yuno? Personally, I want to twist the point of this question ever so slightly, because usually when we get a time skip training arc, the first little arc after the time skip is to basically just show how much stronger our main characters have become. We had that a little bit with Asta taking out the little Spade Kingdom dudes at the beginning of the arc, but with Yuno, for example, Yuno was left to a point where he was nearly dead, and if it was not for Rogue in this fight against Dante, Asta would be dead. Essentially, both of them got absolutely decimated in their first main battles since their training. Their training, bear in mind, that was to defeat these very people. Like I said, I predicted Dante to essentially just completely dismantle Asta in this chapter, especially after Asta managed to land a strike on Dante. However, what's really interesting is that it was not done quite as how I expected it to be. I expected Dante to just lose his shit and go all out on Asta, whereas he sort of just didn't. He said, forget everything, I'm gonna box you. That's so much fun. Dante, keep boxing. So that adds a lot more room for Tabata to work with in the latter portions of this arc of the story, or Dante's story. Because inevitably at some point Dante's going to have to go full power. So that is leaving that inevitably incredible reveal to a much later date where the payoff is going to be so much more worth it. Whereas if it was done in this fight against Aster, if you went 75, 80, 100% in this fight to just wipe the floor of Aster, it would have been cool still, but it needs to be saved for later. So I think having Dante just easily wipe the floor with Aster without even really mainly using his devil powers was very, very surprising and interesting. Like I said, these guys have been training the entire time skip to take down these guys. They're finally fighting them. They've been thrown around like toys. They've not even been close matchups. But enough of the devils. We've talked about them plenty over the last few weeks. Let's move on to Grey. A massive reveal in this chapter as we learn a lot about Grey's past. And to put it into short, Grey is the Cinderella of Black Clover's story. Her horrible, so-called beautiful stepsisters bully her and just treat Grey like dirt. It was a really hard-hitting backstory, even if you're from the Western audience of Black Clover and you've probably seen and read the Cinderella story a cajillion times since your childhood. There's just something about it in this circumstance with Grey that really hits hard, and I think it's because we're so familiar with the story that we sort of understand it a bit more from Grey's perspective and how bad it must be for Grey. And what's super interesting to take from this was the fact that the Witch Queen, potentially the Witch Queen anyway, looks like she may be Grey's mother or stepmother. It's one of the two. I'm not 100% sure there. As that is because there are very, very striking similarities between the motherly figure that we see in this chapter in comparison to the Witch Queen. And things like this, right, coincidences like this, quite often aren't coincidences. But we do learn that in a similar way to how Yami saved Vanessa, causing Vanessa to fall in love with Yami. The same thing happens in Gray's situation, as Gauche is actually the Yami in this time, as he saves Gray. And it looks like Gray does share those same bonds that Vanessa does with Yami towards Gauche this time around, thus unlocking a new spell to help keep Gauche alive. And what's really interesting from this spell, more than anything else, is Vanessa's reaction. Now, I've seen two theories when it comes to this. One that I firmly side with more than the other, but I wanted to bring both to the table just in case, because they're both just as interesting as each other. The one that I think could well possibly be what is actually happening is that it is witchcraft or witch magic, and that's why Vanessa is so shocked to see it, because she knows, like, Gray shouldn't be a witch. Why does she know witch magic? Which links into the past theory I was saying about how her mother or stepmother is the Witch Queen. Alternatively, however, and this is really outside the box thinking right here, but some people are theorizing that her transformation magic has actually unlocked a new side to it, and that she's transforming her transformation magic into other magic and is using Julius's time magic to reverse the wound. Not saying it's impossible, because in Black Clover, everything can be done. However, I personally just side with the first theory a little bit more, because I think it's slightly more believable, but that Julius transformation time magic thing, that is damn interesting. But talking of this new spell and saving Gauche, let's talk about it. My goodness, the amount of complaints I've seen about Black Clover having another fake death is crazy. Personally, I'm completely fine with how this one panned out. Mainly because I thought it was obvious that something like this was going to happen. I said it last week, but I'll repeat it now as well. Gauche's death in that way had zero emotional impact at all. It would have just been such a waste. It would have been completely useless. I often think back to Naruto spoiler, a certain Hyuga's death. The one where people were completely slating it for being completely pointless and unnecessary. Well, Gauche's death would have been 100 times more pointless in this scenario. So overall, I have no big issues with Gauche surviving. So overall, I have no real big issues with that reveal, mainly because, like I said, I saw it coming, so the reveal probably didn't have quite as large of a payoff as it was probably supposed to, just because of how predictable it actually was. I do, however, very much so enjoy how much it added to Gray's character personally. And overall, I think this fake death would actually improve the bond between the Black Bulls so much more, so that when we do eventually get a Black Bull death, if we ever do get one, the payoff, the emotional payoff of it will be so much better than what it would have been if this was our first Black Bull death. I would have been so disappointed had this been the actual first official Black Bull death. So I'm glad Gauche is alive. I'm glad that it's added more to Gray, a Black Bull member we knew very little about, and tightened the bond between them all for when the character, whoever it is, eventually does die. Then it's going to hit hard. And then on to that final twist with Yami. Listen, I love Yami. He is easily my favourite character in the entire series. In fact, scratch that, he's one of my favourite characters, just full stop in anything. When he's on screen, you listen. That being said, I am slightly concerned on how he's going to get on against Dante. We've already seen William get taken away by the Dark Triad. And as we know, William is Yuno's captain, and Yami is Aster's. William has been taken. Dante came here for Yami personally, showing that he's not scared of Yami really at all, and nor is he really wasted any energy fighting Asta, because like I said, that was really a complete walk in the park for him. So I think that Yami is going to be taken. Yuno's going to have to try and save William from the Spade Kingdom later in the arc in the same way that Asta is going to have to try and save Yami. Which is why I believe Yami will lose the fight against Dante. In fact, I'd rather he lose the fight against Dante as opposed to Dante being all like, oh, this was fun, but I've got to go now, because Yami was literally the one person he came for. Okay, he came for Yami. He's now obviously took interest in Aster, Grey, and Vanessa as well, because, side note, Grey was confirmed to be Arcane Stage as well in this chapter. I can't believe I was about to completely glance over that, but I don't know if that was just because her new spell was able to save someone from dying. If that's the case, there's a lot of Arcane Stage mages out there, so I think what it could potentially be instead is in the same way how Vanessa is Arcane Stage with all of her witchcraft like Rogue and the Witch Magic, with Grey now potentially learning Witch Magic as well, and her being listed under Arcane Stage. Does that mean just witches in general are Arcane Stage? I don't know, let me know in the comment section down below. But yeah, it wouldn't make any sense for Dante to just hop out of there because he came specifically for Yami. So he's going to leave there with something, and I think it's going to be Yami. Potentially Aster as he's knocked out. Honestly, I don't know. He could just leave with half the black balls, and I wouldn't be mad. There's no one that can really stop him. But I think that's where we're going to end the review for chapter 244 of Black Clover. Another absolutely hype chapter. Like I said, make sure to leave a like and subscribe if you're not already. And I'll be seeing you guys in another video very, very soon. But until then, as always, peace.